Imagine being in a relationship where intimacy is used as a weapon rather than a connection, where every touch, every word, and every moment in the bedroom is strategically crafted to control, manipulate, and validate someone's fragile ego. For narcissists, sex is not about love or affection, it's about power. In this video, we're uncovering the 7 shocking sexual secrets narcissists don't want you to know. These behaviors may seem familiar, but you might not have realized how deep the manipulation goes. And here's the twist. We'll be looking at how Stoic philosophy can guide you in recognizing these toxic patterns and reclaiming your self-worth. Stay with us because by the end of this video, you'll have a clearer understanding of how narcissists operate, and more importantly, how you can protect yourself and regain control of your life. Number 1, sex as control, dominating the ego. For a narcissist, sex is not an expression of love or a path to intimacy. It is, at its core, a tool of control. Their relationship with sexuality is deeply rooted in the need to dominate and assert superiority over others. Unlike a healthy sexual connection, which fosters mutual respect, trust, and intimacy, the narcissist's view of sex is transactional, something to be used to manipulate, to feed their insatiable need for validation, and to solidify their fragile sense of self-worth. When a narcissist enters a relationship, they often begin by portraying themselves as highly desirable, showering their partner with attention and affection. This is the seduction phase, where the narcissist mirrors their partner's desires and reflects back the ideal version of themselves. The goal here is to make the partner feel like they are the center of the narcissist's world, creating a bond that is heavily one-sided but emotionally charged. Narcissists may also use sex as a way to bond with their partners on a superficial level, presenting a false sense of closeness that they never truly intend to maintain. However, once the narcissist has secured the partner's attachment, the dynamics shift. This is where the true nature of their manipulation becomes evident. Sex stops being about mutual satisfaction and becomes a means of asserting power. Narcissists begin to use sex as a way to reaffirm their superiority. They withhold affection or use intimacy as a reward or punishment, keeping their partner in a state of uncertainty, always striving to earn back their approval and affection. In their minds, sex is just another means of control, where their partner's emotional needs take a back seat to their own. What makes this even more destructive is that narcissists don't just want to dominate in the bedroom. They want to dominate emotionally, psychologically, and even spiritually. They use sex to create an unbalanced power dynamic, where the partner is left feeling inadequate, questioning their own worth, and constantly trying to please the narcissist. This not only damages the relationship, but also erodes the self-esteem and confidence of the partner, who begins to internalize the narcissist's view of themselves as too much or not enough. From a Stoic perspective, this behavior is antithetical to what we consider true intimacy. Stoicism teaches us that meaningful relationships should be built on virtue, wisdom, and respect, where both parties approach each other with openness, honesty, and a commitment to mutual growth. A healthy sexual connection, in the Stoic view, would be grounded in mutual care, where both individuals are equal partners, and there is a balance of emotional and physical give and take. The Stoic would recognize that sex, in its truest form, is not a power play, but an opportunity to strengthen the bond between two people who are equally invested in each other's well-being. Narcissists, however, are driven by their need for control, validation, and dominance. The sex they engage in is not an expression of their partner's needs or desires, but a performance designed to make them feel superior. They use intimacy to reassert their own sense of importance, pushing their partner into a state of emotional dependence and insecurity. The Stoic response to this manipulation is to practice self-awareness and self-respect. Recognizing that narcissists use sex as a form of control allows you to regain your own sense of autonomy and agency. By staying grounded in your values and focusing on what you can control, your boundaries, your emotional responses, and your sense of self-worth, you can avoid falling into the narcissist's trap of manipulation. In essence, the narcissist's use of sex as a tool of control is rooted in their deep-seated insecurity. They project their own emotional emptiness onto their partner and attempt to fill the void within themselves through domination. But as Stoicism teaches, real strength comes from inner peace, not from dominating others. True intimacy is founded on equality and mutual respect, not manipulation or control. Recognizing this distinction is the first step in breaking free from the narcissist's grip and reclaiming your own power in relationships. 2. The seduction to devaluation cycle, the emotional roller coaster. The narcissist's relationship with their partner often follows a devastating cycle: seduction followed by devaluation. This is a pattern that keeps the partner emotionally off balance, never quite sure where they stand. The narcissist begins by using charm, attention, and affection to draw their victim in. This is the seduction phase, where everything feels perfect. The narcissist may seem attentive, flattering, and deeply interested in their partner's needs, often going above and beyond to create an illusion of idealization. But this is just the beginning of the game. What starts out as intense attention and affection quickly fades into coldness, disregard, and emotional neglect. Once the narcissist feels they have secured the emotional dependence of their partner, the devaluation phase begins. The partner who once felt adored is now ignored, criticized, or even belittled. This sudden shift from affection to contempt leaves the partner confused and desperate to return to the idealized version of the relationship they once had. This cycle plays out repeatedly, often leaving the partner in a constant state of emotional turmoil. The narcissist's behavior is erratic, and their partner is left second-guessing their own worth. One day, the narcissist may shower them with compliments and affection. The next, they may ignore them or put them down. This unpredictability breeds insecurity and makes it difficult for the partner to leave, as they become addicted to the emotional highs and lows. From a Stoic perspective, this cycle is incredibly damaging because it erodes your sense of inner peace and stability. The Stoic teaches us that our happiness should not be dependent on external circumstances or the actions of others. In fact, the more we allow others' behavior to dictate how we feel, the less control we have over our own well-being. Narcissists thrive on this instability. They know that by creating emotional chaos, they can keep their victim engaged, always trying to win back the affection they once had. However, true emotional resilience comes from within. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of maintaining emotional detachment from external drama and instead focusing on your own responses to situations. When you allow yourself to become entangled in the narcissist's devaluation cycle, you give them power over your emotions. But by practicing Stoic principles, such as focusing on your own virtue, maintaining boundaries, and learning to detach from manipulative behavior, you can break free from the emotional roller coaster and regain your sense of self. The devaluation phase of the narcissist is a deliberate tactic to keep their partner hooked. It creates an illusion of love that is always just out of reach, and when the partner chases it, they are further manipulated. Narcissists thrive on the power they feel when they control another person's emotions. They will continue to use this cycle of love bombing and emotional withdrawal to maintain dominance. But in reality, this isn't love. It's emotional abuse masked as affection. Stoicism provides a powerful antidote to this behavior. It teaches us to maintain our self-respect and not let others' unpredictable behavior control our emotions. By focusing on what you can control, your responses and your personal boundaries, you can avoid becoming trapped in the narcissist's manipulation. The key is to not let the highs of the seduction phase blind you to the deep lows of devaluation. Recognize it for what it is, a power play that serves only the narcissist's ego, not a true connection built on mutual respect and care. In the end, breaking the seduction to devaluation cycle requires emotional awareness and self-discipline. The Stoic approach encourages you to remain grounded in your own values, never losing sight of your own worth. It's not easy to break free from the emotional turmoil that narcissists create, but by cultivating inner peace, strength, and self-respect, you can avoid becoming entangled in their toxic games. 3. Underlying insecurity, the mask of confidence. Narcissists often exude an air of self-assurance, arrogance, and confidence. They may seem like the epitome of charisma, with an aura of invulnerability and self-sufficiency. Their bravado can be intoxicating, and it's easy to be drawn to their larger-than-life persona. However, beneath the surface of this outward confidence lies a deep well of insecurity, fear of rejection, and a crippling sense of inadequacy. This stark contrast between their outward display and inner turmoil is what makes narcissists so dangerous. They project an image of strength and invulnerability, often through promiscuity, dominance, and excessive boasting. They want to be admired, revered, and adored, and they will do anything to keep up the facade of perfection. Yet this image is fragile, and it masks their deep emotional scars and fears of being exposed for who they truly are. In relationships, this insecurity manifests in several ways. Narcissists fear abandonment and rejection above all else, and this fear can drive them to act in unpredictable, often cruel ways. They may lash out if they perceive even the slightest threat to their ego, projecting their own feelings of inadequacy onto their partner. They might make their partner feel too much, demanding constant validation while simultaneously devaluing their partner's emotions and needs. This emotional push-pull dynamic leaves the partner feeling constantly on edge, walking on eggshells, unsure of how to behave to avoid triggering the narcissist's fragile ego. Despite their outward appearance of confidence, narcissists are terrified of being exposed as vulnerable or flawed, and this fear drives much of their toxic behavior. From a Stoic perspective, this contrast between the narcissist's outward bravado and inner insecurity highlights one of the core principles of Stoicism. True strength comes from within, and it is grounded in virtue, not external validation. The Stoic philosopher understands that relying on others' opinions for self-worth is a path to misery. Narcissists, however, are trapped in a cycle of external validation, constantly seeking admiration and approval to fill the void within them. The Stoic view is clear. Self-worth must be anchored in our own character, actions, and understanding of virtue, not in the opinions or validation of others. The narcissist's dependency on external affirmation is not strength, but a form of emotional fragility. They cannot truly love or accept themselves, and as a result, they cannot authentically love others. Instead, they demand admiration, not because they value it, but because it temporarily shields them from the pain of feeling inadequate. For those trapped in a relationship with a narcissist, the key to healing is recognizing that the narcissist's behavior is not about you. It's about their own deeply rooted insecurities. They project their own fears and flaws onto their partner, creating an emotional atmosphere where the victim feels constantly judged, inadequate, or too much. By understanding this, you can begin to detach yourself from the narcissist's need for validation and regain your own sense of self-worth. Stoicism offers a powerful path forward here. By focusing on what you can control, your thoughts, actions, and responses, you can avoid internalizing the narcissist's projections. The Stoic mindset encourages you to practice self-reflection and develop self-respect, knowing that your value is not determined by anyone else's approval. In essence, when you stop seeking validation from those who are emotionally unstable, you free yourself from their manipulative grasp and begin to reclaim your power. Narcissists fear vulnerability, yet true strength lies in embracing our imperfections and being comfortable with who we are. The Stoic approach teaches us to embrace this internal strength, cultivating resilience against external validation. Understanding the narcissist's need for constant admiration as a sign of their own weakness allows you to break free from the cycle of manipulation and focus on what truly matters: your own character and emotional well-being. 4. Performance over connection. The narcissist's sex as a stage for the narcissist. Sex is not an act of mutual exchange, love, or closeness. Instead, it's a performance, one in which they must shine, captivate, and be admired. The narcissist views every intimate moment as a stage where they are the lead actor, always performing to maintain the illusion of perfection and superiority. It's not about genuine emotional connection or vulnerability. It's about maintaining a carefully curated image that fuels their fragile ego. They don't seek to connect with their partner on a deeper level. Rather, they seek admiration, adoration, and validation. The narcissist craves external acknowledgement of their physical prowess, attractiveness, and desirability. Sex for them becomes another arena to showcase their success, to prove that they are desirable and sought after. This need to be admired during intimacy is not just about physical attraction, but also about proving their worth, confirming that they are superior, desired, and capable of dominating others in every area of life. In this dynamic, the narcissist often disregards their partner's needs, desires, and emotional well-being. Sex becomes a one-sided event, with the narcissist in complete control, dictating the experience to ensure they receive the validation they crave. Their partner, in turn, may feel used, empty, or disconnected, as the narcissist's behavior leaves no room for mutual emotional exchange or reciprocity. The partner is there to feed the narcissist's ego, nothing more. This performance-based approach to sex is particularly harmful because it creates a false sense of intimacy. The narcissist partner may believe they are sharing an emotional connection, but in reality, the narcissist is merely going through the motions to maintain their image. The partner is not being truly seen or loved. They are being used as an object in the narcissist's quest for self-affirmation. From a Stoic perspective, the nature of this performance reveals the emptiness at the core of narcissism. Stoicism teaches us that true fulfillment and connection come from understanding our inner virtues and developing authentic relationships based on respect, honesty, and shared values. The Stoic approach to relationships is not about power or performance, but about creating bonds grounded in mutual growth and genuine affection. The narcissist's need to perform rather than connect is a reflection of their inability to embrace vulnerability. To truly connect with someone, to share intimacy, requires a willingness to be vulnerable, to expose one's true self without fear of rejection. But the narcissist cannot afford vulnerability. They are terrified of being exposed as flawed or weak. As a result, they craft a facade of perfection, and sex becomes a means to perpetuate that illusion. For the narcissist, the very idea of genuine emotional intimacy is frightening because it could lead to rejection or exposure of their true self. Instead, they choose the safer route, using sex as a stage on which they can perform their idealized self and gain admiration. The more they perform, the more they affirm their sense of superiority and worth. The Stoic response to this behavior is to focus on the development of true, unshakable virtue that does not rely on external validation or admiration. The Stoic individual does not need to prove their worth through performance or manipulation. Instead, they seek to build relationships based on honesty, emotional depth, and shared values, where both parties are seen as equals, capable of showing vulnerability and experiencing true connection. In the context of a relationship with a narcissist, the key to healing is recognizing the performance for what it is, an act to hide the narcissist's fear of being truly known. Once you see through the narcissist's facade, you can detach yourself from their need for admiration and start to seek real, authentic connections. By focusing on your own self-worth and practicing Stoic principles, you can stop participating in the narcissist's emotional games and begin to create healthier relationships based on trust, vulnerability, and mutual respect. The inability to receive love, emotional bankruptcy. Narcissists cannot truly receive love or kindness from others because, for them, love requires vulnerability, a concept they are deeply uncomfortable with. To genuinely accept love means to acknowledge one's own weaknesses, fears, and needs, and to rely on someone else in a way that is profoundly intimate and trusting. But this is anathema to the narcissist, who is driven by a need to appear invulnerable and self-sufficient at all costs. To truly be loved means to be seen for who they really are, with all of their flaws and imperfections, and the narcissist simply cannot tolerate this level of exposure. Instead, they approach relationships with a transactional mindset, viewing others as sources of supply, people who exist to fulfill their emotional needs, bolster their ego, and affirm their worth. Narcissists are adept at taking what they need, whether it's admiration, affection, or validation, but they struggle to give in return. They can give the illusion of affection or love, but it is always conditional, based on what the other person can provide to maintain their image or meet their needs. This inability to receive love stems from deep-rooted fears of inadequacy and rejection. The narcissist may have been deeply hurt in the past and developed a coping mechanism that shuts down their capacity for genuine emotional connection. Rather than accepting love and vulnerability, they push it away, fearing that it will expose their weakness or threaten their fragile sense of self. When you are involved with a narcissist, this emotional unavailability can feel devastating. The more you give, the more you may feel that they take without ever truly giving back. Their love is conditional, and the moment you stop providing them with the validation they seek, they may discard you or devalue you. This constant cycle of giving and being rejected can leave you feeling exhausted, unworthy, and emotionally drained. From a Stoic perspective, the inability of a narcissist to receive love underscores a deeper issue: their failure to develop true emotional resilience. The Stoic teachings emphasize the importance of accepting ourselves fully, flaws and all, and recognizing that love and affection are not mere transactions, but the natural outgrowth of mutual respect and shared values. In Stoicism, love is not something that can be controlled or manipulated. It is an expression of virtue, one that is based on self-acceptance and an understanding that we are all imperfect beings. The narcissist's inability to receive love highlights their deep internal void and fear of vulnerability. Rather than facing their own inner pain, they externalize it, seeking constant validation from others while never truly embracing the love that is offered to them. This creates a cycle of emotional emptiness, where the narcissist continues to take from others without ever being able to genuinely connect. For someone who is involved with a narcissist, it can be painful to understand that the love you are offering will never be truly received or reciprocated. The narcissist may appear to be loving, but their affection is based on what you can provide, not who you are. As a result, the relationship becomes a one-sided dynamic where you are constantly giving and they are constantly taking. Stoicism teaches us to focus on our own emotional resilience and to cultivate self-love, not as a means to manipulate others, but as a way to ground ourselves in our own virtue and values. True love, according to Stoic principles, is not about seeking validation from others, but about finding peace and contentment within ourselves. Narcissists, in their pursuit of external validation, miss this fundamental truth. They are emotionally bankrupt, unable to truly receive love, because they have not developed the internal strength to love themselves. By embracing Stoic principles, you can begin to understand that the narcissist's inability to receive love is not your fault. You are not responsible for filling their emotional void. Instead, you can focus on cultivating your own self-worth, emotional resilience, and understanding of true love. By doing so, you can begin to free yourself from the cycle of manipulation and reclaim your ability to form healthy, authentic relationships based on mutual respect and genuine connection. 6. Exploitation and betrayal. The narcissist's toxic cycle. The narcissist's approach to intimacy is transactional, not based on mutual care or emotional connection. Intimacy for them is about gaining power, control, and validation, never about sharing vulnerability or fostering trust. They will manipulate their partner's emotions to extract what they need, whether that is admiration, sexual gratification, or affirmation of their self-worth. To the narcissist, people are not seen as individuals with their own needs and feelings. Instead, they are mere tools to feed their ego. What may seem like passionate affection in the early stages of a relationship is, in reality, part of a strategy to hook the partner. This is often referred to as love bombing, where the narcissist showers their partner with affection, attention, and praise, creating an illusion of deep emotional connection. At this point, the victim feels special, valued, and desired. However, this is all part of the narcissist's plan to secure their control. Once the partner becomes emotionally dependent, the narcissist begins to devalue and discard them, pulling away their affection and instead replacing it with coldness, indifference, or even cruelty. The narcissist's emotional manipulation doesn't stop at devaluation. It extends into exploitation. They extract emotional energy, time, and even financial resources from their partners, all the while maintaining a facade of needing and loving them. For example, they may use sex as a tool to manipulate, turning what could have been a genuine shared experience into another way of maintaining control. They may even use their partner's vulnerabilities against them, keeping them in a state of emotional turmoil where they are constantly seeking approval, affection, or reassurance from the narcissist. From a Stoic perspective, this exploitation is a direct violation of the concept of mutual respect and emotional integrity. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of treating others with dignity, compassion, and fairness. And the narcissist's behavior is a stark contrast to these principles. The Stoic approach to relationships is grounded in a commitment to virtue and integrity, where both parties treat each other as equals and with respect, not as tools to be used. The cycle of exploitation and betrayal can be incredibly damaging to the victim's self-esteem. Over time, the narcissist's manipulation erodes their partner's sense of self-worth, leaving them feeling confused, abandoned, and unlovable. The constant betrayal, whether in the form of lies, cheating, or emotional abandonment, creates a toxic environment where the victim feels powerless to break free. The narcissist is not just exploiting their partner's time and resources. They are exploiting their partner's very sense of reality. Gaslighting, lying, and shifting blame are often used to make the victim doubt their own perception of events, deepening their emotional entrapment. From a Stoic perspective, the key to breaking free from this cycle is recognizing the manipulation for what it is, a deliberate attempt to control and degrade. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, our own thoughts, actions, and reactions, and to accept that we cannot control the behavior of others. When we are caught in the toxic cycle of a narcissistic relationship, it is crucial to realize that the narcissist's behavior is a reflection of their own internal struggles, not our worth. Their need to exploit others stems from their profound insecurity and lack of self-love, not from any deficiency in us. For those who find themselves in relationships with narcissists, the path to healing begins with recognizing the manipulation and reclaiming one's sense of self. By cultivating Stoic virtues such as wisdom, courage, and self-respect, you can begin to detach yourself emotionally from the narcissist's control and start the process of rebuilding your own boundaries. Stoicism teaches us to live by our principles and not to allow others' actions to dictate our self-worth or our emotional state. Recognizing that the narcissist's exploitation is a result of their inability to love or respect themselves can help you stop internalizing their toxic behavior and start healing. 7. Gaslighting and reality erosion, the narcissist's mind games. One of the most insidious and damaging tactics used by narcissists is gaslighting, an emotional manipulation strategy where the narcissist distorts reality to make their victim doubt their own perceptions, memory, and sanity. Gaslighting is a form of psychological abuse designed to disorient the victim and make them question their sense of self, their thoughts, and their experiences. It is a powerful tool of control, allowing the narcissist to maintain their dominance in the relationship while keeping the victim in a perpetual state of confusion and self-doubt. For a narcissist, gaslighting is not just about denying reality. It's about rewriting the narrative in their favor. They will twist facts, deny conversations or events, or flat out lie, making their partner feel as though they are overreacting or being irrational. This creates a cycle where the victim becomes increasingly unsure of what is true, and the narcissist becomes the sole source of truth. Over time, this constant manipulation erodes the victim's self-confidence, and they become emotionally dependent on the narcissist for validation and clarity. The gaslighting process is often subtle at first. The narcissist may deny things that happened, insist that the victim is imagining things, or accuse them of being overly sensitive. These small moments of doubt gradually build up, leading the victim to question their own memories and instincts. As the narcissist continues to manipulate the victim's perception of reality, the victim's sense of self-worth deteriorates, and they begin to rely more heavily on the narcissist for their emotional sense of reality. From a Stoic perspective, gaslighting is the antithesis of the principles of truth, integrity, and self-awareness. Stoicism teaches us to focus on the cultivation of wisdom and the ability to discern truth from falsehood. In Stoic philosophy, our judgment is one of the few things we have control over, and maintaining clarity of mind is essential for living virtuously. The narcissist's manipulation aims to distort this clarity, making the victim lose their ability to trust their own thoughts and instincts. The key to breaking free from the gaslighting cycle is to reclaim your own sense of truth and clarity. In a Stoic sense, this means returning to the basics of self-reflection and inner peace. Stoicism teaches that our perceptions are influenced by our thoughts, and that we can take control of those thoughts through rationality and self-awareness. When you recognize that the narcissist is using gaslighting to manipulate your perception, you can begin to distance yourself from their toxic influence and reestablish your own sense of reality. The Stoic approach to dealing with gaslighting involves returning to principles of personal integrity and emotional resilience. Stoicism teaches that our emotions should not be governed by external forces, but rather by our own rational understanding of the world. By cultivating inner strength and maintaining a commitment to truth, we can resist the narcissist's manipulations and regain control over our emotional well-being. This process also involves setting firm boundaries and trusting in our ability to navigate relationships with clarity and wisdom. In relationships with narcissists, it's important to understand that the gaslighting is not a reflection of your reality, but a deliberate attempt by the narcissist to erode your sense of self. This awareness is the first step toward reclaiming your personal power and emotional stability. By grounding yourself in Stoic principles, especially those related to self-awareness, emotional regulation, and truth, you can break free from the narcissist's toxic influence and regain your sense of self-worth and clarity. Understanding the narcissist's manipulative behaviors, such as their use of gaslighting, emotional exploitation, and control is essential to breaking free from their toxic grip. Through the lens of Stoicism, we can see how these behaviors stem from deep insecurity and a need to maintain dominance, rather than a genuine desire for love or connection. The narcissist's actions are a reflection of their own emotional bankruptcy, and their tactics are rooted in a profound fear of vulnerability and exposure. For those involved with narcissists, the path to healing begins with recognizing these behaviors for what they are: manipulation designed to maintain control. The key to overcoming the damage caused by narcissistic abuse lies in reclaiming your own sense of self. Grounded in Stoic virtues such as wisdom, courage, and emotional resilience. By learning to trust yourself, set healthy boundaries, and embrace truth, you can begin to free yourself from the narcissist's emotional games and build healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Stoicism teaches that we cannot control the actions of others, but we can control our own responses. By focusing on cultivating inner strength, emotional clarity, and a commitment to virtue, we can rise above the narcissist's attempts to control us and find peace and healing. Ultimately, the journey to reclaiming your power is a path toward personal growth, self-discovery, and the freedom to live authentically without being ensnared by the manipulations of others.